Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises to YAHAWAH WA YAHAWASHI. That's the Father and the Son, who deserves all the honor, the glory, and the praise. And shalom to the 12 tribes scattered abroad. Greetings. So, today I want to go into the topic of fear. You got two aspects of fear. You got the ungodly fear, and you got godly fear. So we're going to break it down through the scriptures, and Lord willing, edification to come out for those that need to be refreshed on this topic, and for those that aren't as familiar with it. A way to benefit both. So we're going to start out with the actual Hebrew entry for it, which is Ya'ar, page 3372. And it's the verb to revere, to stand in awe of, to reverence, to respect, to cause astonishment and awe, or be held in awe. So I think a lot of people just think of the bad or the ungodly fear, but they're not in the light or aware of what the godly fear is. And this is what it encompasses as far as reverence, as far as respect. This is the godly fear that we're supposed to possess, because if you don't possess it, you cannot continue in this walk or begin in this walk, because you don't respect the Most High, you don't respect His majesty. So we're gonna start it with Sirach 1. I think that this is a beautiful chapter. Side note, whatever scriptures I bring out, make sure you guys look over them, check them, so you understand them. Add on to them in the comment section. Because it's about you guys' preeminence to Yahweh. It's not about me being a teacher. It's about us being fellow servants to each other. So, I'm going to start out verse 18. It says, the fear of the Lord is a crown of wisdom, making peace and perfect health to flourish, both which are gifts of Yahweh, and it enlargeth their rejoicing that love Him. So, we see clearly that there's a fruit that comes from the fear of the Most High, which is wisdom, peace, and health. They're all gifts from the Most High. And then it's a continuum. It makes that person continually rejoice in the Most High because He increases them. That tree is planted by the waters. But I want to take a in detailed look at making peace and perfect health to flourish. So we're going to jump to chapter 30.
Haven's got this.
Remember, perfect, peace, and health, right? It says, give not over thy mind to heaviness, and afflict not thyself in thine own counsel. Those are the ungodly fears, or kakru. Those are the ungodly fears, or the struggles that the yoke of man has, the yoke of bondage. The gladness of the heart is the life of man, and the joyfulness of a man prolongeth his days. So the rejoicing of wisdom and the fear of the Most High prolongs your days. You're not stressed out. You don't worry about the things you can't worry about. Love thine own soul and comfort thy heart. Remove sorrow far from thee, for sorrow hath killed many. There is no profit therein. So once again, if you don't need to pay for something, why pay for it? If your rent is only $850, why are you paying $1,000? Your energy is like a payment. I shouldn't be worried about the things that I can't control. I shouldn't fear the things that I'm not supposed to fear, because fear will hold you captive. You become a bondsman or a bondswoman to that. But when you fear the Most High, you respect Him. You do what He say. You take the wisdom that He's giving you, and you'll be better off. So let's look at 1 Samuel 15. It's a key concept. When we first come into the fear of the Lord, we have to understand this. And Samuel said, hath Yahweh as great delight in burnt offerings and sacrifices, as in obeying the voice of Yahweh? Obeying the voice of Yahweh. Behold, to obey is better than sacrifice, and to hearken than the fat of rams. So it's about obeying His voice. Don't get me wrong, the sacrificial system was set up in order to keep us clean, but in the fear of the Lord, just obey, He telling you the right thing. His laws ain't grievous. He looking out for you. That's your light. In Yahawashi as well. That's your light. That's what leads you to Yahawashi as a schoolmaster. So, the law is holy. It's us that's, corrupt and wicked. So when we come into the fear of the Lord, we should be constantly reminding ourselves, obey. I could be the rah-rah guy, Yahawah, Yahweh, 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 and then disobey him. It's about obeying him and discipline every single time. Disciplining myself to go the right way, make the right decision. It's just like any game you play, like when I play basketball or play chess. I'm not looking to make a home run play. I'm just looking to make the least mistakes as possible. And that's what allows me to win most of the games that I play. To obey. Let me make sure I obey the Most High as much as possible. And I won't suffer the fruits of the flesh. I won't reap those fruits of corruption. But let's look at the beginning in the garden to see where it all started. So we know the serpent was a man dealing with the woman, but the woman had some type of respect, for the instructions that the Most High gave. You see in verse 3, roughly paraphrase and read it for your own time. In verse 3, you see that, she mentions, hey, this is what he told us: you shall not eat of it lest you die. Now she sits at the chess table, and now the serpent is beginning to deal with her, but she never should have sat down at the chess table. And she ate. She gave it to her husband. They both ate. They both knew that they were naked, meaning a consciousness, a portal was open in their mind, or their consciousness was able to pick up on it. They sewed fig leaves together and made themselves aprons. So they knew something was wrong. They knew that the Most High seen that they did something incorrect, which was they ate that fruit. And see, the nakedness is spiritual. Spiritual.
He even's got this.
We see it all the time in scriptures. He said, I'll uncover thy skirt. I'll uncover thy skirt. And see, they tried to hide themselves among the trees of the garden or the people, because Yahawashi said men are likened unto trees. But continuing to verse 8, it says, they heard the voice of Yahawah walking in the garden in the cool of the day, and Adam and his wife hid themselves from the presence of Yahawah amongst the trees of the garden. But it's impossible to hide. It's impossible to hide from Yahawah, but that's what the ungodly fear does to you. You're not thinking rational. You're trying to run away from whatever mistake you made and hide it, instead of being a man or a woman of the Most High, accepting your mistakes. That's a plague in Israel right now. It's Esau's fault. It's Esau's fault. No, you see in the beginning of the garden, it was our fault. And Yahawah called unto Adam and said unto him, where art thou? And he said, I heard thy voice in the garden, and I was afraid, because I was naked, and I hid myself. But it wasn't no way he could hide himself, So that just shows you that was the beginning of that ungodly fear given to the Son of Man. And it kept us captive all to now. But we're going to see how Yahawashi reverses this. Let's look at Hebrews 2, verse 14. For as much then as the children are partakers of flesh and blood, he also himself likewise took part of the same. So he fought the same afflictions, came in this world the same way we did. No virgin birth, that through death he might destroy him that had the power of death, that is the devil. He don't got it no more. And deliver them who through fear of death, were all their lifetime subject to bondage. So you've heard of guys, well, I won't say guys, but you've heard of people in this world that get heart transplant after heart transplant after heart transplant, because they want to live in this corruption, in these corruptible bodies. They're afraid of dying. When Israel goes through death, we handle it terribly because we really don't understand it, and we fear what we don't understand. So Yahawashi being, all wisdom being in him, he delivers us from that bondage that death and corruption brings. Let's look at 2 Timothy, because we don't have that spirit anymore. It says that we were subject to bondage. We're not subject to that anymore. This is what we're subject to. For Yahawah have not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. Now we're going to touch on all three of these components to replace that ungodly fear. We're going to touch on every single one of them because they're key and crucial in order for you to have your helmet on, the helmet of salvation. You need all of those things in your mind constantly running through your energy in order for you to be okay. Because fear will try to creep up on you, but those are your weapons. I don't have the spirit of fear anymore. I got the spirit of power, love, and a sound mind. Sometimes you got to tell yourself that. So when you go into situations, you'll be fine. You'll be able to think your way through. You know that the Most High on your side, and you know that you're doing out of love. And see, love isn't just a feeling of mushiness. Love is an action. Love is a respect. I'm doing my duty as a good soldier. See what I'm saying? So let's look at what it's saying in the law. See how fear works. You shall flee when none pursueth you. So this was when we disobeyed. I'm flipping back and forth, which I'm gonna do, but when we went into that ungodly fear, he was gonna give us over to that, and we were gonna fear those enemies. But nobody's pursuing you because you know you did wrong, and you know that your quote unquote kingdom is coming to an end as far as Babylon coming. And the same thing went the other way. Whenever we was doing what we was supposed to, that fear fell upon the other nations. Deuteronomy 32:30. How shall one chase 1,000 and two put 10,000 to flight, except their rock has sold them and the Lord has shut them up? So Yahweh will be behind us, and they'll be in fear whenever we did what we were supposed to and respected the covenant. Let's get Psalms 102. Verse 13. Thou shalt arise and have mercy upon Zion, for the time to favor her, the set time is come. For thy servants take pleasure in her stones, and favor the dust thereof. So the heathen shall fear the name of Yahweh, shall fear the name of Yahweh, and all the kings of the earth thy glory. So now we're going to go into the power and the might that Yahweh shows, so that the heathen will fear. Let's look at Joshua 2. Now this is Rahab, and she said unto the men, I know that Yahweh have given you the land, and that your terror is fallen upon us, and that all the inhabitants of the land faint because of you. For we have heard how Yahweh dried up the water of the Red Sea for you when you came out of Egypt, and what you did unto the two kings of the Amorites that were on the other side Jordan, Sihon and Og, whom you utterly destroyed. And as soon as we heard these things, our hearts did melt. Neither did there remain any more courage in any man because of you. For Yahweh your power, he is power in heaven above and in earth beneath. So the receipts went out as far as what the Most High did for us when we came out of Egypt. So think about it. The nations heard. And now that we were coming on the land, well, our land, to be at that time, they knew it was going down, and that fear fell upon them. Hence why Rahab was like, hey, I already know what it is. And that's whenever we had the godly fear or the godly respect that we were supposed to possess. Then the fear will fall on the nations that the Most High is the power above and in earth beneath, not these false gods. Whenever we went off, the other nations thought that they gods was the real God. That's why the commandments say don't take the Lord's name in vain, because we're supposed to be representatives of him to show that he the true power and that he behind us. We're going to go back to the Apocrypha. Let's look at Judith. Now, to set the table, you had a council. This nation was finna come against us, but you had a man that knew what was going on. Now check this out. Verse 19, but now are they returned to their power, and are come up from the places where they were scattered, and have possessed Jerusalem. So let's get to the point. If there be any error against his people, and they sin against their God, let us consider that this shall be their ruin, and let us go up, and we shall overcome them. So, if we did not fear the Most High, hey, the Most High would have gave us up. He would have took it with a hedge of protection. But if there be no iniquity in their nation, let my Lord now pass by, lest their Lord defend them and their God before them, and we become a reproach before all the world. Just like the whole world heard about what happened when we left Egypt, they was like, hey, if this people respect the covenant and they have the godly fear, let's not fuck with them. Because you're not going to win. He going to defend them every time. And that's what that godly fear does. It's a two-way street. When we respect the covenant and we do what we're supposed to do, we're bold as a lion. And then the Lord like, all right, I got him. And when we know the Lord got us, that makes us bold. It's an energy source that go back and forth. Let's look at Esther. This was all because Mordecai, right? Context. Mordecai and Haman. Peep this, and in every province, and in every city, whithersoever the king's commandment and his decree came, the Jews had joy and gladness, a feast and a good day. And many of the people of the land became Jews. Now we know Jews, being a Jew is a nationality, but they took our customs. For the fear of the Jews fell upon them. So they seen how Yahawah had things play out in Mordecai's favor. You see in verse 15. He went out from the presence of the king in a royal apparel, just like Daniel. You know, Daniel was a top guy in the system with Nebuchadnezzar. But the fear of the Jews fell upon everybody. The Most High took one man, let that situation play out, and the fear of the Jews fell on everybody. That's respect. They kept our customs. And it says in every province, in every city, whithersoever that commandment went. Straight up. That's that fear falling on the nations, which is a good thing. You know, we shouldn't be fuck the heathen. We should want the heathen to fear, and that only comes by us taking care of our business. Worrying about inside of the house and the outside of the house is gonna follow right along. I'm not saying that the heathen have the covenant. They don't, but they will fear, and the Lord gonna deal with them as He chooses, just like Rahab. Go to Matthew 27. Now when the centurion and they that were with him, watching YAHAWASHI, saw the earthquake and those things that were done, they feared greatly, saying, truly this was the Son of the Most High. So they knew like, hey, that was the Son, because when He rose, you got people coming out their graves, earthquakes, rocks ring. It was that power. Like, alright, that's Him. And fear fell upon the centurion and those that was watching. And you see that with Revelation 11 as well, with the two witnesses. They killed them, they thought it was over with, gave them life again. They defeated death. And after 3 days and a half, the spirit of life from Yahawah entered into them, and they stood upon their feet. Great fear fell upon them which saw them, because they defeated death. It's like, whoa, they are defeating death. I mean, that's the biggest opponent of mankind. And they heard that voice saying, come up hither. You know, those two witnesses is plaguing their ass. So it's like, oh shit, that's that fear falling on the nations. But let's look at Proverbs 19. Smite a scorner, and the simple will beware, and reprove one that hath understanding, and he will understand knowledge. But peep the verse. A couple verses above that, the fear of Yahawah tendeth to life. I mean, it's straightforward. 1 + 2 = 3. You know, but going back to 25, if you smite somebody that's scornful and disrespectful, the simple will beware. So let's look at an example of that. You had a sorcerer that was fucking with the apostles. We're gonna see what happened to him though. So Paul was going on him. He like, oh, full of all subtlety and all mischief, thou child of the devil, thou enemy of all righteousness, wilt thou not cease to revert the right ways of the Lord? Because he was trying to, turn somebody away from the faith, as verse 8 say. And now, behold, the hand of the Lord is upon thee, and thou shalt be blind. He had the power to do that, not seeing the sun for a season. And immediately there fell on him a mist and a darkness, and he went about seeking some to lead him by the hand. Then the deputy, when he saw what was done, believed, being astonished at the doctrine of the Lord. That fear or that respect or that reverence fell upon that deputy, because he seen the power. He seen the power that the Most High gave Paul while he did what he did. And he beware. If you smite the scorner, the simple will beware. Let's look at number 16. That's why I say, many go to the left and to the right. Don't follow the crowd. Don't follow the multitude. I know growing up, speaking to the younger crowd, when you see certain things happen to your peers, you have to learn from them. And you have to beware of that. You have to. Be able to look at these examples and say, well, ask yourself and look in the mirror, am I applying these? Am I learning from my mistakes? Am I learning from my peers' mistakes to not do what they did, or my parents to not do what they did? Number 1632. Now you had Korah scoffing at Moses, right? Because he thought Moses was doing everything on his own. But the Most High gave him power, and Moses prophesied it before it happened. And it came to pass, as he had made an end of speaking all these words, that the ground clave asunder that was under them, and the earth opened her mouth and swallowed them up, and their houses, and all the men that appertaineth unto Korah, and all their goods. They and all that appertained to them went down alive into the pit, and the earth closed upon them, and they perished from among the congregation. And all Israel that were round about them fled at the cry of them, for they said, lest the earth swallow us up also. That's the point. They seen what happened to those scoffers and those scornful men. They said, we not going that way. We finna move around. And look at this. There came out a fire from Yahweh and consumed the 250 men that offer incense. Because they were scoffing. They were scornful, man. But those bystanders was able to see that and say, nope. I would be a fool not to beware and move around, as we would say. Let's look at Proverbs though. Let's go back. Now you got two sides of the coin, right? The fear man bringeth a snare, but whoso putteth his trust in Yahweh shall be safe. So you got two edges, or two sides of the sword. The fear of man bringing a snare, which is the ungodly fear. But whoso putting his trust in Yahweh, or the godly fear, shall be safe. Because Proverbs do say that the Lord is a tower. Those, they run to Yahweh and they're safe. It's plain as, you can say it many ways, but it's plain. You got the godly fear, which will protect you. The ungodly fear, which will hurt you. It's your choice. But let's look at an example. Let's go to 2 Chronicles. Now, I advise you to read 14 and 15 for the backstory, but the point is this. Asa did not trust the Lord. He had some enemies that he wanted to take care of, so instead of going to the Most High, he went to man out of fear. So let's look what the seer tells him. And at that time, Hanai the seer came to Asa, king of Judah, and said unto him, because thou hast relied on the king of Syria, and not relied on Yahweh, therefore is the host of the king of Syria escaped out of thy hand. Were not the Ethiopians and the Lubims a large host, a huge host, with very many chariots and horsemen? Yet because thou didst rely on the Lord, he delivered them into thine hand. For the eyes of Yahweh run to and fro throughout the whole earth to shew himself strong in the behalf of them whose heart is perfect toward him. And that perfect does not mean that you do everything right. It means single-hearted or mature. To fear the Lord is maturity and wholeness. And he slipped in that. Herein thou hast done foolishly. Therefore, from henceforth thou shalt have wars. So Asa did well in the most beforehand, and the Lord did not completely cast him away, but he let him reap the fruits of that decision, just like he did with David. Whenever he numbered Israel or committed adultery. So, this example with Asa, verse 8 tells you that when he did fear the Most High and he went straight to him, man, that large host of the Ethiopians wasn't shit. Excuse my French. You read that in the previous chapters, but now he didn't do that. He came to another man or a heathen, and the Lord like, come on, bro. You don't remember what happened with the Ethiopians, but that's what ungodly fear does to you. Sometimes you get out your wits. You get out your zone of logic and reasoning. Now, I want to show a scene from Flight with Denzel Washington. It shows you the difference between a leader that has no fear and somebody that is being, I wouldn't say controlled by fear, but fear is in their vessel. That makes them hard. It makes them hard for them to respond in situations of pressure. Check it out.
How long has he been?
26 minutes. We're gonna start descending in a second now.
But looks like we need to wake him up.
Subject 227, Atlanta Center, descend and maintain flight level 300.
Descend and maintain flight level 300, subject 227.
What is that? The elevator feels really stiff, sir.
Alright, Margaret, get everybody strapped in. Get everybody strapped in tight.
Denzel ready to rock.
Form left hard, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, fasten your seatbelt. Fasten your seatbelts.
I have no control on my side. No control at all, sir.
We lost hydraulics. Center, this is Subject 227. We've lost our hydraulics and feels like our pitch control.
Subject 227, Atlanta.
Fear is not holding him captive. He's able to communicate in that situation of pressure.
Subject 227, Atlanta.
Clearly.
Everybody's belted in. Are we
Everybody get belted in. We need everybody in brace positions. Yes, that is affirmed. We are
He's able to give instructions to those around him that, he needs as far as help.
We're going to need drag. I want you to throw out everything you got. The speed brakes, the gear, everything.
Here, speed brake.
And the other people in his crew, you can see that they're following his instructions and they're feeding off of his lack of fear, but yet they have a little fear within their vessel, so they're battling that within themselves at the same time.
This is Subject 227. We're in an uncontrolled dive descending out of 21,000 feet. We're declaring an emergency. We dumped our fuel. We got jam stabilizer or something. We need block of altitude to work the problem and head into the nearest airport.
Subject 227, Hartsfield, Jackson
Dump the
Airport.
flash, dump the flash. Just do it, 30 degrees.
Heading 315.
Still
We'll
troubleshooting.
try our best.
Alright, that brought us to the time. Now we gotta revert to manual control. This side first.
Okay, got
He
it.
knows how much time he's working with. He's able to properly analyze the situation.
Oh no, we're diving again.
Alright, okay. Let go of my side. See, you reach my side.
I can't reach it, sir.
No, stay strapped in. Margaret!
Around 15,000.
Alright, just relax. Calm down.
Just relax, calm down. It's pretty hard to do when you nose diving, but that shows you he had no fear. He knew what he had to do and made the chips fall where they fall.
Let's see you going below 10,000. How are you doing?
Not good. Margaret, there's a red lever right there next to my seat. It says manual control. You see it?
Yeah.
Okay, on the count of 3, I want you to pull it up, turn it clockwise, push it back down. Ready? 1, 2, 3. It's okay. Yeah, come on. here, trim us nose down, okay? But everything's gonna be opposite, so make sure you trim us nose down.
Hey, turn down, what are you gonna do?
When I tell you I want you to push these forward, full power, full throttle, can you do that? Okay, when I tell you,
Wait, sir, what are we doing? Why would I trim down?
we're gonna roll it,
What do
okay?
you mean, rolling?
Gotta do something to stop this guy. Marvin, what's your son's name?
Trevor.
Say I love you, Trevor. Black box, say I love you, Trevor.
I love you, Trevor. You be a good boy. Mommy loves you.
Okay, here we go. I got control.
Oh, Lord Jesus!
All right, Evan, flat. Speed brakes.
Speed brake!
Marvin, power.
It's a do or die situation, so you know, no matter how it play out, you might as well do your best and let shit play out how it play out. But if you let fear take hold of you, you give yourself no chance. Just like any fight.
Jesus, we're inverted!
Alright, listen, we're level, we can maintain altitude like this.
Subject 227 left center standard position 4.5 miles southeast of the airport at 1,800. Are you okay?
Atlanta Center, subject 227, we are inverted. I repeat, we are inverted.
Subject 227, did you say inverted?
We're losing oil pressure, both failure, both engines!
Alright, we're flying.
He said it's okay. And see, with him being in a sound mind, he did not let the fear of others or the whole plane rub off on him. But that comes from knowing your job, being confident in what you know.
Atlanta subject 227, where's that airport?
227 is 3 miles.
Alright, we're not gonna make that. Our engines are burning up.
I see a field and a road ahead of us. We're gonna set it down there.
Just like water, he's
Oh no, fire in the right now!
We're coming back around.
he's seeing the situation unfold in many different ways, so he's able to adjust on the fly. No pun intended.
Speed brakes.
Speed brakes!
Flaps full.
Flaps full! We're losing the left engine!
Subject 227, I see you descending through 1,000 feet. We heard.
Marvin, full power.
We lost the left engine! We're losing power in the right! We lost our power!
Are we gliding? Glide, please to glide. Race. Race for impact.
Now see, with him moving with a sound mind and the power with no fear, he was able to really make that situation way better than what it could have been, because they could have went, nose down. But I suggest y'all to check out that movie. It's a pretty good one. But the point is, you see how fear in your vessel could either lead you to perform well. The fear of the Most High can lead you to perform well, or it could destroy you if it's the ungodly fear. Now, we're going to go to chapter 2 of Sirach. Let's look at verse 13. Woe be to fearful hearts and faint hands, and the sinner that goeth two ways. Woe unto him that is faint-hearted, for he believeth not. Therefore shall he not be defended. See? If you come in that fearful energy, the Most High really can't do nothing with you. His spirit can't come to you and say, hey, go this way, go that way, on the fly. Because you held captive to that fear of your flesh. So let's look at Psalms 44. We'll keep the ball rolling. Verse 6. For I will not trust in my bow, neither shall my sword save me. But thou hast saved us from our enemies, and hast put them to shame that hated us. So a part of the godly fear or the reverence is understanding that the wars that we fought and the battles that we face aren't one of our own, but they're one of the Most High, because you can drop your gun, if you're gonna jam up, you can drop your sword. Those tools do not equate victory. You know, a gun is not a shield. You know, you hear Israel say, I'm finna get a gun, I'm finna get a pole, but you know, a bullet still can hit you, or you can miss. It's all of the Most High. It's all of the Most High. Stay in Psalms, go to Psalms 103. Look at verse 11. For as the heaven is high above the earth, so great is his mercy toward them that fear him. So yes, a righteous man falls 7 times, but if you fear him, the Lord has mercy on you for you to get back up and do better. Let's look at Daniel. You know, no man is quote unquote righteous before YAHAWASHI, but Daniel feared the Most High. So that's why he was able to receive what he received. Check it out. And not Daniel alone saw the vision, for the men that were with me saw not the vision, but a great quaking fell upon them, so that they fled to hide themselves. So they got out the jam, because they felt that energy behind that vision. Just like Isaiah when he said, woe is me, woe is me. He knew that he was in the flesh, and he felt his corruption when all of that spiritual energy was around him. Therefore I was left alone and saw this great vision, and there remained no strength in me, for my comeliness was turned in me into corruption, and I retained no strength. Yet heard I the voice of his words, and when I heard the voice of his words, then was I in a deep sleep on my face, and my face toward the ground, in reverence. And behold, a hand touched me, which set me upon my knees and upon the palms of my hands, and said unto me, O Daniel, a man greatly beloved, understand the words that I speak unto thee, and stand upright, for unto thee am I now sent. And when he had spoken this word unto me, I stood trembling. Then said he unto me, fear not, Daniel. So let go of the fleshly fear. You know, you good. The Most High got you. From the first day that thou didst set thine heart to understand and to chasten thyself before Yahweh, thy words were heard, and I'm come for thy words. His mercy was great on him because he wanted to obey better than sacrifice. We're going to take a look at the 70 missing verses, because we see the same thing with Ezra and how the angel talked to him. Let's look at verse 76. And he answered me and said, I will show you that also, but do not include yourself with those who have shown scorn, or number yourself among those who are tormented. For you have a treasure of works stored up with the Most High, but it will not be shown to you until the last times. So Ezra, once again, he was a man of fear, because there's no way the Most High is going to give you wisdom without that. You know, Ezra deeply respected the Most High, but you know, as men of the Lord and women of the Lord, daughters of Sarah, sometimes we can know that the Lord could do away with us, and we may, you know, count ourselves out. But sometimes we need to encourage ourselves and remind ourselves and say, hey, the Lord is dealing with me because of A, B, C, D. He's giving me wisdom. He's letting me deal with brothers. He's put me in situations to show his light. And I've got this far with YAHAWASHI in his blood, so, you know, why am I tripping? Let's look at Joshua 1. This is what we got to do. Be strong and of good courage. Now Joshua was stepping in the seat of Moses to lead him into the land, so I can only imagine what he was going through. But the Most High came to him and said, don't trip. It's going to be you that's going to divide the land for an inheritance. Just make sure you do what it says in my law. Make sure you meditate in it, and then your way is going to be prosperous, roughly paraphrasing. Have I not commanded thee? Like, hey, come on now, it's me that's telling you to do this. I got you. Don't be afraid. Be strong. Be of good courage. And we're supposed to take that same energy into all walks of our life with whatever we do. stand boldly. Let's look at Judges 6. Now, we're going to see examples of men that the Most High dealt with that still had to fight off the flesh and fear, worked on them, and they battled it. But the Most High is long suffering. So with this example, Gideon asked for many types of signs to see that the Most High was dealing with him. But now we don't need signs. We got this book and we got the Spirit. And he said unto him, if I have found grace in thy sight, then shew me a sign that thou talkest with me. So he gave the offering, the angel got it. Then after that, he had to break down the altar, got persecuted, roughly paraphrasing. Then after that, he had to ask for 2 more signs. And Gideon said unto Yahawah, if thou wilt save Israel by my hand, as thou hast said, behold, I will put a fleece of wool in the floor, and if the dew be on the fleece only, and it be dry upon all the earth beside, then shall I know that thou wilt save Israel by my hand, as thou hast said. So, bam, the Most High did that. Now Gideon asking for another sign, verse 39 and 40. It was going to be backwards. It was dry on the fleece, dew on the ground. And then even after that, he needed another sign. The Most High showed him, hey, I'm only taking 300. Then after that, he needed another sign. He had to go to a man that had a dream about a damn piece of bread tumbling over the tent. Let's look at verse 11 or verse 10. But if thou fear to go down, go thou with fear thy servant down to the host. And thou shalt hear what they say, and afterward shall thy hands be strengthened to go down into the host. So that's what he did. Now, let's look at verse 13. And when Gideon was become, behold, there was a man that told a dream unto his fellow, and said, behold, I dreamed a dream, and lo, a cake of barley bread tumbled into the host of Midian. The host just means army. And came unto a tent and smote it, that it fell, and overturned it, that the tent lay along. So the interpretation in verse 14 tells you that, that was Gideon giving deliverance to Israel. So that ultimately strengthened Gideon for him to fight. But we see that the Most High had to really walk him through that. It wasn't anything that just sprung up overnight. So this should give us comfort that the Most High is going to continue to build us and deal with us, especially those that struggle in fear or struggle in faith. Let's look at 1 Kings 19, actually. Let's look at Elijah. Then Jezebel sent a messenger unto Elijah, saying, so let the gods do to me, and more also, if I make not thy life as the life of one of them by tomorrow about this time. And when he saw that, he arose and went for his life, and came to Beersheba, and which belongeth to Judah, and left his servant there. So he ran. He got out the jam. Look at what he said. He said he requested for himself that he might die. He said, it's enough now, O Lord, take away my life. For the Most High to deal with Elijah like he did, and for him to be slaying the false prophets, but now that Jezebel on his ass, he ran because of that fear, that ungodly fear of the flesh. But the Most High dealt with him. The angel came to him, gave him some food, as we see in verse 6. And then the Most High came to him in the elements and said, look, bro, you ain't the only one fighting. Gird up your loins, bro. Man up. Stay strong. And sometimes it takes that because we have our low points, but that's where brothers come in, We have to be energy sources and service to our brothers and our sisters and our family and those around us to lift them up when we see them down, because we would want the same thing done for us. But fear will really take hold of you sometimes. We're going to start looking at what Yahawashi was saying about it. So you got the parable with the talents, and you had one of those servants that was afraid, and he hid his talent, as you can see. And I was afraid and went and hid thy talent in the earth. Lo, there thou hast that is thine. Now, what Yahawashi said or feels about that ain't the best. And verse 28, it culminates in him having the talent taken from him. So you can't let fear hold you back from letting your light shine. I used to struggle with that because I didn't like attention. I like being low key, but now I know that it's for the glory of the Most High. So, you know, if you seek to save your life, you lose it. If you seek to lose your life, you gain it. So, you know, you can't have no fear in this walk. And the Most High help you if you pray to Him and take it day by day and understand that you're slowly gonna grow like a tree. Slowly. Let's look at Sirach 14. Go after her, wisdom likened to a woman. Go after her as one that traceth and lying wait in her ways. He that prieth in at her windows shall also hearken at her door. So he's likening the search of wisdom to a man really going after this woman with no fear. You know, if you fear that you ain't gonna get her, you may not get her. You know, but you have to have that mindset of, I'm going to get her. The Most High is going to give me wisdom if I seek her out, just like Solomon did. You know, if you go to a woman and you afraid and timid as a male, they're gonna see that and be like, eh. But if they see somebody confident, they're gonna want to rock with you. It's that simple. Let's look at Revelation 21. The Most High, He don't have to do away with that spirit of fear. But the fearful, abominable, unbelieving, whoremongers, murderers, sorcerers, idolaters, all liars, all of those negative traits, they gotta go in the fire, which is just gonna be wiped away. Or the second death, it has to go. So we see the importance now of being strong and not having the ungodly fear, but the godly fear, and what the ungodly fear will do to you, and what the ungodly and the godly fear will do to you. The benefits that you reap from it, the fruits of it. Let's look at Matthew 14. Verse 30. Once again, Peter, you know, he was the rock of the church. He had the keys. But look at what happened. But when he saw the wind boisterous, he was afraid. And beginning to sink, he cried, saying, Lord, save me. And immediately Yahawashi stretched forth his hand and caught him and said unto him, O thou of little faith, wherefore didst thou doubt? Like, bro, you was just walking on the water, as you see in 29, but Peter took his attention away from Yahawashi, and that's when he started to sink. So in our lives, when we don't have them correct shades on, that's when we start getting fearful. That's when we start to sink. That's when we start to look at the lack of stillness, and it affects us. But once again, on the other hand, when we look at Yahawashi and He lives in our place, we have nothing to be afraid of. We're able to walk on water, or to, you know, be in situations of hotness, or situations of heat, to stay cool, you know. And that's the power of the Most High, like you say in Timothy, of power, of love, and of a sound mind. You love the Most High with all you got. You love your brother like yourself. You're stable. You know that that's what you're supposed to do. That's your wisdom in the sight of the nations, because that's what we didn't do from the jump. Let's look at 26. 56. Now this is when Yahawashi was finna be taken. But all this was done that the scriptures of the prophets might be fulfilled. Then all the disciples forsook Him and fled. So they got out the jam because they was afraid that persecution was coming. And I mean, the Most High work in mysterious ways. You know, it wasn't just Peter, it was all of them. But let's say Peter sticks around. Who's to say if Peter gets killed or not? But these are the examples to show you that that's what comes with the flesh, and that's what we have to fight every day. And you have to be honest with yourself. You have to examine yourself and be able to see what you can do better, what you can stay away from. You know, if you constantly looking at the news and seeing these headlines that's trying to fearmonger you as far as war and shit, you're going to fall into it. And that's why you have to protect your eye, or protect your energy. It's crucial. Let's go to Matthew 10. Verse 28. And fear not them which kill the body, but are not able to kill the soul, but rather fear Him which is able to destroy both soul and body in hell. That's who you fear. That power. Not no man. That man don't give you wisdom. That man, it's ultimately the spirit of the Most High that can either build you up or break you down. Not a man. We ain't shit. We worms. We fucking worms. So we get no glory, we get no honor because we didn't do our part. It's all of the Most High. And we should fear him. You know, Yahawashi rebuked the doctrine of men because they wanted to praise the men. Let's look at Acts 5:28. So this is what the high priest told the apostles because of power, right? Saying, did we not straightly command you that you should not teach in his name? And behold, you have filled Jerusalem with your doctrine and intend to bring this man's blood upon us. Then Peter and the other apostles answered and said, we ought to obey Yahawah rather than men. Fuck what y'all talking about. We gonna do what we supposed to do. The Most High put the Spirit on us to do this. And we know this is the correct thing. He's gonna be the Savior of Israel. But see, they wanted to praise the men. So they actually ignored the truth. You know, scriptures speak about the fear of the Jews. And it takes away from what the Most High is doing and the proper reverence. You know, you're not supposed to reverence men. We don't have men over us that we have to go to get to Yahawashi. We got Yahawashi. We got the book. We got the word. That's all we need. And then whatever brothers that come around, let Yahawashi be in the midst. Let him be the guide. Let him have the preeminence. Not another man. Not an elder. Not your camp. Not IUIC. Not IUCPK. Not any fucking camp. Not even me. Don't take what I say for gold, because I ain't shit. Let's look at Romans though. Romans 8:15. For you have not received the spirit of bondage again to fear, but you have received the spirit of adoption, whereby we cry, Abba, Father. We not tripping no more. We got our Father to go to. I'm not afraid. I'm not looking around for guidance. I'm stable because I know who to go to for wisdom. I don't got that spirit of bondage, like it says in Hebrews anymore. But let's read down. I believe that this chapter is a beautiful chapter, and I advise y'all to read it. Blessed is he that readeth. But check this out. If God be for us, who can be against us? Come on now. As it is written, for thy sake we are killed all the day long. We are counted as sheep for the slaughter. Nay, in all these things we are more than conquerors through him that loved us. For I'm persuaded that neither death, nor life, nor angels, nor principalities, nor powers, nor things present, nor things to come, nor height, nor depth, nor any other creature shall be able to separate us from the love of the Most High, which in him Mashiach Yahawashi our Lord. Nothing can separate us from that. That's what you call a marriage, a real marriage. We conquerors through him, through that love that the Most High showed, through his example, through his son that died and put his life down. Straight up. So what do I have to fear for? And remember, the Most High gave us the spirit of a sound mind, power, and love. Let's touch love. Herein is our love made perfect, that we may have boldness in the day of judgment, because as he is, so are we in this world. There is no fear in love, but perfect love casts out fear, because fear hath torment. He that feareth is not made perfect in love. So what do that really mean? You have to let love or your duty lead you more than that fear. If you do what you're supposed to do, you can't control anything else other than how you react and what you think, and asking the Most High to be pleased with your meditation and your actions and where your heart is standing. And hope for his mercy. You know, what is faith and hope that we see when we don't need a chart to tell us we Israel? You see what I'm saying? That's not a faith, that's a sign, a false sign, but that's a whole nother topic. And like verse 19 say, we loved him because he loved us first. He first loved us. That show you how strong it is. You know, we used to be enemies to the Most High, but he said, okay, it's cool, I got some. I need y'all back. I need y'all back. It's a love story, that's all it is. Let's look at Ephesians 5:21. It says, giving thanks always for all things unto Yahawah and the Father in the name of our Lord Hamashiach Yahushua, submitting yourself one to another in the fear of God. So it's that simple, you know. We're going forth in our daily walk. Now that we understand we're in the new covenant, we need to submit ourselves to each other, because that's what the new covenant is about. Yahawashi washed Peter's feet. He put his life on the line for us. So we have to do the same thing for others. Put ourselves down, look at the next man, put them higher than ourselves in regard. And being in submission, you know. If my brother need my help, I'm going to submit to him. Because that's the example that people are supposed to see. We're not supposed to rule over each other. Look at Hebrews 13. Let your conversation be without covetousness. We don't covet, you know, because we have what we need. You know, fear of lack of money or water will have you do shit you shouldn't do. But we don't fear that because we know the Most High will take care of us. We don't covet. We got what we need. We have our daily bread. Let your conversation be without covetousness, and be content with such things as you have. For he hath said, I will never leave thee nor forsake thee. So that we may boldly say, the Lord is my helper, and I will not fear what man shall do unto me. I won't fear. It's my last one, and I'm going to wrap it. Luke 12:32. Fear not, little flock, for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. Fear not, little flock. You heard Yahawashi's voice. It says the sheep hear his voice, so fear not. It's your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. He wants us to obtain this, but we just got to work for it, Israel. So with that, I'm going to say shalom. I hope that those listening was edified. If y'all got any questions, comments, concerns, hit the comments, you know. Well, I can leave my email if y'all need it in the description. With that, peace and blessings to the hopeful elect.